All right, let's get started, man. This is the first
Imagine.
episode of the Matinade. We wanted to come together to talk about XDefiant, and we think it's the perfect time to talk about XDefiant and what it needs to be successful. I'm Brandon. This is Anthony, and this is the very first episode of the Matinee. We're gonna do this probably in like 5 parts up until XDefiant releases. Hopefully, with
Hopefully.
minimal issues. But one of the first
We're
topics,
playing.
yeah, right. One of the first topics we wanted to talk about is the stigma around the Ubisoft games. I mean, everywhere you go, they're like, "Oh man, there's gonna be no support. The game's gonna die." Like the last game that came out was Roller Champions, which we played. Roller Champions came out. First of all, it released broken. And then it just failed. But then that was the same thing with XDefiant. The first time it launched, I didn't get to play the beta, but it was the first beta felt great. And then you're gonna have to speak. You're gonna have to speak to it because I think it was the alpha launched. It was fine. We could play with people. And then the beta came out, and I remember the party invites didn't work. The game kept crashing. And then the last last beta you played? You said it felt awful.
Yeah, so, dude, we played the alpha, ran great. We played the beta, just issues. Started being more issues each time we played. Like, every day we'd hop on, it was something different. Like, the beginning, the party chats wouldn't work.
Yeah,
You'd be crashing
party
game.
chat.
And then you'd go to, like, their Discord. Everyone's complaining, like, every day. Like, the complaints just grew and grew and grew until they did that play test, which, to me, is crazy because they said this was a play test. Like,
and they said it ran great on their end, which is
they. I don't know what they running because they said this is the last one. Game's almost ready, and I go to the Discord after I play. I'm like, yo, this game feels terrible. Like I don't know what they did between the beta and this playtest because the stuttering was insane. The movement felt broken, and then you'd get like people being defensive, like, oh, it's not broken. And I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna make up like complaints. Like, I want this game to succeed more than anybody. Like, I want to see it do good. And then weeks at like what was like a week or two after they said, yeah, we're like delaying the game. Like, playtest ran terrible.
Yeah, the playtest, and then now. But then the thing is, this is the crazy part because the alpha ran fine, and then I remember even when like this is why it's so important. This is why we wanted to come together and make this episode and break it down because this game cannot have a terrible launch. Like that alpha cannot happen. Dude, if Scump loads it up, like I remember when Scump started to vibe the game and he was like, yeah, I think I like this game. And then everybody, listen, let's just call a spade a spade. Everybody has a hive mind. No one can think for themselves. If Scump says he likes the game, everybody's gonna be like, I like the game. It's just the facts. But the problem is if he can't invite methods or Zuma can't invite one of these big creators, it's done. If you can't invite your friends, it's over. Like, I don't think they don't have the leeway COD does when they launch. Like,
no, they don't. And the fact that like so many people want to like say it is a copy to COD, like there's so much things just going against them that if they don't hit the ground running, they're just gonna be fighting from the back foot, and then like at that point, it'll be like, oh, we're canceling the game. Like, we don't have enough support. It's like you just said, bro. You need the creators to stay on the game. They need to be playing the game for, like, the first 2 months. Yeah. Like, they can't get off
2 months,
the game.
literally, nonstop. And that's what speaks to why we know the stigma, which means that when the game launches, it needs to have a ranked play.
Yeah.
It needs to have a rank. They're literally COD, listen, they are set up for so much success because COD's at the midway point where everybody knows it gets stagnant. They still don't have ranked play. And I know Aches has mentioned before that they purposely put ranked or something like that midway through the season to gain back that interest. No, they don't have that luxury. They need to launch with ranked play. I mean, could you imagine logging on like to Twitch and seeing, a 4-stack of like all the creators playing ranked?
Right? What that would be so fun to watch. It really just goes back to my point of you need the creators to stay on the game, and they will not be playing pubs for months.
No.
When
no one's even doing it now on COD.
And like you just said, ranked for COD is coming. Who knows when, but it's like probably like a month or two away.
Yeah,
like
probably.
You don't like as soon as COD rank comes out, and if XDefiant doesn't have ranked,
Yeah.
What are they going to go play?
Exactly.
They're going to go play COD Ranked.
They're gonna go right back to COD Ranked, and you need everything as possible to stay on this game. Which is also, I'm trying to think of what other issues the game had that they can't have the luxury of when launching. But I just know ranked play is definitely one of the major ones. And then I think on top of that, I remember we were talking about with potentially this being the last season of the CDL, which also speaks to why they need to have. Listen, I mean, we've talked about this before. Like, there's a space where XDefiant and Call of Duty can coexist.
Absolutely. There's no reason they can't. And like we always said, people can watch 2 esports. They can play 2 games. It's not like one or the other. Like, I feel like most people, I know we watch many esports, COD, Halo, PUB. Like, no one's watching just one esport. And even if they are, that's like such a minuscule viewer count that I wouldn't even be worried about.
And then one thing, I remember looking up a stat do you remember the China, it said like Valorant's their most watched game, and then PUBG. Meanwhile, no one in NA plays PUBG. But get this, China's the second most, and it speaks more to the point that COD can still exist, but hey, maybe the competitive scene for arcade shooters goes to the XDefiant route. I think you could have your casual game in COD and then have your competitive scene, in a sense, be your XDefiant, which just speaks to, which we got to talk about. We got to break down the maps and the modes, and they did do the showcase. Let's talk about the showcase. Let's talk about the maps, the modes. Let's go into detail on that. You take it away.
Yeah, so when we played the game, the first thing that stood out to me in the alpha was these maps are creative as hell.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so much crazier now looking at MW3. Like, when we go to play MW3, you get nostalgia maps.
Yeah, just
and
merchants.
Like, and if you like new things and like can just be honest about it, like, you realize like, yo, these maps aren't good. No. These maps were never good. I don't know what I was thinking when I was like 14, but now with like a more competitive mind, when you play games, you're like, wow, these maps don't work. So when we played the alpha for XDefiant, the maps were just so creative. They just played so well. Like, you had, what was it? Noodleplex, the Google looking map. You had Mayday. You had Showtime. Mm-hmm. You had Liberty. Liberty was my favorite map.
Liberty and Mayday are top 2 maps. Yeah. They're better than any COD map we've gotten in the past 2 years. Easily.
So, they were just so creative. Like, when you were running around, when you were playing it, like, you just felt like you were having fun playing it, let alone like having fun playing the game, obviously. And they just made sense. Like, when you were rotating for Occupy, like, every hill felt breakable. Every hill felt like it was in the right position, honestly, which is obviously weird, like, to say get that right off the bat.
yeah, that is. COD don't get them right.
Yeah, especially going from like MW3, like, you look at Terminal, they got a hill in the back of the burger joint, and you're like, how are we getting in there? Yeah. You're like, no, you're not. You're rotating 60 seconds.
Rotating it 60 seconds in. Like, what am I watching?
The only thing I will say, but I was thinking about it more. So in Occupy, it's pretty much hardpoint. We know that. Yeah. But the difference with XDefiant's Occupy is the first set of rotations isn't decided until that game you're playing. So it's not always the same set. Yeah. And I was thinking, I was like, do I like that? Like, it makes it kind of random. But then at the same time, it gives you the fairness. Because, you know, in like COD, like, there's a better side to a map.
Yeah,
so like
that is a good
point. And that's why I was saying, like, that first rotation is kind of like corny in a sense, because if you get the better side, you're probably gonna have the better first rotation.
You're getting 120 seconds off rip.
Yeah, exactly. So like, by them keeping it random for that first rotation, it actually like plays into like, there is no good side, because you don't really know what the rotation's gonna be until the first set.
That's a fire point. That's a fire point. And then so you're saying maybe then the second rotation stays the same though? That was first rotation random. I like that. And then it kind of and then by the second, and then it makes the game scrappier too. I feel like it would make the game scrappier. That first set. Yeah, that first set, because everybody's kind of, maybe you're banking on should I anchor here? Should I anchor there? But then if you're wrong, then you got to break.
You got to move.
Yeah, then you got to break, and that's fine. But let's go into this more of the maps. Liberty, we said Mayday. One thing that, though, they did do the XDefiant showcase. And the XDefiant showcase, That's already a great way to support. We need to congratulate them on that in the first place because they did a showcase without the game even being out, right? COD doesn't even do that. I mean, they do have the kickoff event, right? But that's different. This is like a pre-alpha of a game that isn't still not even out. They did it a year in advance. I think we just talked about it though. The game modes. These game modes occupies one.
Absolutely.
Occupy is one. And we need a search and destroy. Domination is not because then you remember in MW19 that was awful. Remember when they would do Dom and like if a team already won they just didn't end it, like it was just mathematically impossible. Like we don't need that to happen. We don't need that to happen.
And that's the issue with Dom in this game. It goes up to like 500 or something.
No, I thought it was like 800. Wasn't it like 800?
Yeah, it's something.
It's something high.
I'm pretty sure it just goes to time every time.
Yeah, every time.
And my thing with Dom is, and I don't know. See, we watch Halo, so Strongholds plays so well in Halo.
Yeah. And Strongholds would be good though. You don't think?
Yeah, I'd rather see if you're gonna go with like a control a zone type game mode. I think Strongholds is always the better route than Dom because at least there's a strategy to setting up and holding 2 points.
Yeah.
Whereas when I watch Dom, it just feels like I'm watching TDM. Like they're just running around. I don't understand like what anyone's doing.
Yeah, so I think they need to launch with like a Strongholds for rank. That's a good one. So we got Occupy, Strongholds. They need a Strongholds. I think Strongholds, like you said, I think Strongholds is probably
such a good game mode.
If to be honest, I think it is probably one of the most competitive. I wish that because that was in Halo 5. I think that's one of the most competitive game modes.
It is
in the newer era of games for sure. So we need a search. That would be 3. And the thing is, they can do it because remember that was it the last alpha or the before they randomly put that hotshot kill confirmed mode in it last minute. So they have
put in any mode.
They have the capabilities. Put a bomb site, boom, real quick. They can do that. So I think so we need a search, a stronghold. Would Cap work? Yo, Cap would work on Liberty and Mayday.
We always love Cap.
Yo, Cap would work on Liberty and Mayday.
If you picture, it's a really long map. Like it would work really well.
Mayday's very long. Would it work on anything? Like anything else? Like Pueblito,
Liberty too.
Pueblito?
Nah, I don't think Pueblito is really boxy
Pueblito,
looking.
yeah, it is a box. I'm trying to think. Liberty. So you have 2. You would need at least 3. You would need at least 3 Cap maps. You would need at least 3.
You could do Liberty, Mayday, and
maybe.
I'm going blank. What's the map where it's like the city? It's like a giant like snow city. It's like it's from
Dumbo?
Is it Dumbo? It might be Dumbo. That whatever that map is, you could have it on each side of the city, bro. That one would work.
Wait, is that what you're talking about? The city, or are you talking about Attica Heights? Map. Oh, Dumbo. So Dumbo.
Yeah, Dumbo.
Dumbo
would work. Showtime would
you
work.
Think? That's kind of small though.
You don't think you just need it on 2. You just need 2 good like locations for the flag. I feel like after that, it's like not that big of a deal.
So I think right there, they launched with 4 game modes, and then on top of that,
Noodleplex.
Noodleplex would work. Hold on, let's talk about that. We broke it down. There's 7 good maps right off rip for competitive. Don't get me wrong. Yes, there's good other maps, but we're talking about from the competitive standpoint. Like we don't know. Attica Heights could work. That's like a mixed bag. I think I need to see it 4v4 because we were talking about
casual.
Casual. It's a little tough, but we got Dumbo, which is the snow map. It's like a big square with the middle center with the crates. Then we got Liberty. Great map. That was like what I don't even know what you would describe that map.
It felt like a Black Ops 2.
It felt like a Black Ops 2. I felt like perfect. Bro, I logged in on like when we got Liberty and Mayday. I said Aches just copied Black Ops 2, man. This feels so like it. He went to his roots on this game. And then we got Noodleplex. We said Liberty, Mayday, Noodleplex. Pueblito was prime. So that is that's like these maps alone gave us that feeling of like, oh, this game can be successful because what was the point you mentioned about maps and gameplay? Like, talk about that. You were saying about,
bro, you can have the best gameplay in the world, but if your maps aren't like we play MW3 here and there, and I will admit the gameplay is good, like the guns feel good, but the maps just check me. Like if you don't have fun maps, let alone to play, but to watch. It's just not going to be fun. It's not going to be an enjoyable experience. And like when I go back and think about the previous COD seasons, like yeah, Vanguard, like it has to balance out. Like Vanguard maps were bad,
Yeah.
but the gameplay was
Play
so
was yeah,
enjoyable to
yeah,
watch
yeah.
that it just like overrid how bad the maps
You're
were.
like Okavutu again.
Like some of the maps, like they played into like how crazy the gameplay was. Like,
Yeah, yeah. No,
it,
you're
like
right. You're
worked
right.
weirdly, but like for MW3, it's like, yo, like this is a slow game. We got these really ratty maps, like 60-60 hills. Like I literally can't tell what team's good when I'm watching.
No.
Because like
Yeah,
I'm like, are they setting up good, or is it just that hard to break? Like
yeah,
even the greatest team on paper wouldn't be able to break this hill,
yeah.
and that's what it feels like. So like when it comes to maps, like that is 80% of the experience. Is like, is this map fun? Like everyone remembers their favorite maps on a game.
Yeah.
Like you don't like, yeah, you remember your gun, but it's always the maps you think about when you think of a game you're playing.
And that's a good point to mention. Like the game plays into like Vanguard played into how chaotic the gameplay was, and I
Yeah,
feel like XDefiant the maps play into kind of like both in a sense. Like
yeah,
you can get
totally
mixy,
agree.
but you can also be that slow traditional AR again. Like I felt like when I was playing, I was like, oh, because I always like to run AR, and he always likes to run sub. And I felt like I haven't been an AR player in years. I'm like, what am
Right?
I doing anymore? You know, in this game, it felt like, oh, I can actually hold a spawn and anchor and still be involved, because now it's like you had like I'm just in MW2. Like everybody, like I remember one of the biggest concerns with all the players was like they're not playing fast enough or slow enough, and it's like.
Yeah,
How are we faulting the play? Like they're playing the way they need to play. It's just the game
right.
isn't playing that way anymore. And I know it's like adapt, but I feel like that speaks to how bad the games are. That the traditional good players are just getting kicked out because they're not, I don't know, necessarily keeping up. But let's go back to the
Right.
main point of like we said those four game modes. We said like 7 maps, and like COD right now has 5 maps in their competitive pool. And we
Let's
could,
relax. Let's
yeah,
relax.
okay,
Five
yeah,
is
5, and
generous.
then, yeah, those 5 maps are like, are we playing this right now? And that's the
Uh,
thing. There's some of these maps, and this is a question that I have for the developers, and I hope they watch this, because if they can cut the maps on those escort and zone control
yeah,
game, if they can cut it, let's say
just take pieces of
just
them.
take pieces of them, because certain parts of those maps could play well for search, and then we could add that to the pool. Like I was thinking Times Square. I was telling you this. I think Times Square, that first part, that first
Yeah,
section would be great for search. Because it's kind of ratty, it's kind of mixy, a lot of barricades, a lot of different ways to push up left or right, but at the same time it's still very chokeholdy, but you got to make a play. And I feel like that could work for search, but it depends on their capabilities of cutting the map. You know, I don't know what you think.
yeah.
Like, do you think any other maps could work, or because if 7 maps right off rip, speaking to the picks and bans you were talking about earlier, which was a great point by the way.
I don't see why they wouldn't be able to like cut some of their maps and like just. I mean, because when you look at some of their maps, a lot of them are like straight up from their other games. Like I think Dumbo's from the Division.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
So like Ubisoft has all
yeah.
the
True.
capabilities to
Yeah,
do
you're
whatever
right.
they want with the maps, and just say like what we said with the game modes. And I just wanted to touch back on the game modes real quick because we didn't talk about Escort and Zone.
Ah, yeah.
They
That's
played
one.
that. They played that in the
In the
showcase,
showcase.
and I get it. I get what they're doing. I get like because, and we didn't even speak on the operators yet, but that's like a
Yeah,
whole
we
other thing.
we could do that still.
But like I get they know like they think it is Overwatchy, and I just don't agree. I know some of the operators are like the healer. The healer's OP. We
Yeah.
like we
They
all
keep
know.
trying to tweak them, and
Everyone
it's
says
not
it, yeah.
working.
But I don't think you have like the capable operators to make it a game where like so in escort you have someone has to sit on the escort,
Yeah.
and like you have to have people shooting everyone off like in Overwatch when you're playing payload. But I don't think it works to the way that Overwatch can work, where you're getting
Yeah.
in these team fights, you're having someone heal you in a team fight, your team shooting. Like, yeah, there's team shooting in this game because the health is pretty high, but not to the level that Overwatch is.
No.
And I think just the way that Escort and Zone plays, it would just turn into like a spawn camp situation. Because,
Yeah.
like, if you don't come out of your spawn, and win that first gunfight.
Yeah,
it's
you're
like
in the
old,
blender.
It's like old Control. What was Fortress from
No,
last year?
Fortress.
MW2.
God.
So that's what every Escort and Zone would be, because you would just have a really good team pushed up, and then you're just because like you remember like when we played the Alpha, like when you come out in Escort and Zone, you're like coming in like these little hallways to come out to the
We
gate,
were the ones
come
spawn
out to the
camping
map.
them.
Yeah,
We were
we were
spawn
spawn
camping.
camp
We were
like
spawn
half
camping
the time.
people.
I think every zone control, we didn't let anyone get to like B and
Yeah,
C.
no,
Like
nobody
whatever
ever
the
finished
second
it.
zone was.
Yeah, nobody ever
And
finished it too. That was another thing.
I,
No one ever made it to the end.
and I just hope if Ake's watching this, Patrick, I'm talking to you. I hope you guys aren't married to the idea of using Escort and Zone. Like, I know it can work casually, and it is fun casually. Don't get me
It
wrong. Like, I
is.
enjoy playing
It
it.
is.
I just think competitively, you gotta just be honest and look at it and just like really think about the issues that like is gonna happen if you use it, like the
And
gameplay that it'll happen.
yeah, I think that's a good point too about the casual and competitive scene, because I feel like games, I think you mentioned this, like the game needs to be catered towards competitive, because like let's just talk about Halo for just a prime example, Halo 3.
Yeah.
Off of Sandbox, it was baseline competitive. Only tweaks they made were to get rid of the bubble shield, and I'm trying to think if there's anything like maybe the Needler. Like they didn't, and the Grav Hammer, and then they got rid of the AR, and and boom, it was a competitive game. You just remove a couple things. The game's base competitive already. You just add a couple things, and I think that's the problem that they're gonna have to. Aren't they gonna market those operators? We could talk about that, because do they have a ban and pick for operators when it goes to the match, which speaks to they need to put out another operator? Do they need to ban and pick these? Because but then it's also the same problem. Like they don't work in the way, like you said, like the healer isn't healing the whole team if he's by himself. Yeah. Like because obviously the healer isn't going to be the AR player. The AR player is probably going to be the extra health guy, shield guy,
or like the tank dude.
Yeah, the sub is probably going to be the healer, which only speaks to he's only healing himself. He's not healing anybody else. So they can't be necessarily married to the idea of these these operator skills. Like for ranked, maybe they make it ranked, they nerf the abilities, they only have one ability, or do you know what I mean, like something like that, so where it doesn't fully rely like into it. Because I'm trying to think, like was it like Black Ops 3, there was just like, what was Black Ops 3? Did you have any multiple abilities, or just your ultimate ability, right?
No, that is a good point bringing that up, though, because Black Ops 3, like, I feel like that is the game they should look at to, like, copy.
They should do that.
Because those abilities, you can't... the game is too fast-paced and too, like, you're not congregated. That's why...
Yeah, that is the problem.
Overwatch works so well. Like, you're playing, like, on each other.
Yeah.
Like, the whole game.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, you have people flanking, but then if you're flanking, you have a healer come with you. And in this game, like, you can't have everyone together. And you can't just, like, take people, like, with you to flank with you. Like, you don't have time. Like, it's, like, a split second. Like, Overwatch is, like, we have time to think about what we're about to do real quick. Yeah. These, like, arena shooters, you got to go.
Yeah, you spawn up, you got to make a decision.
Yeah. You got to know what you're doing. Like, you can't be like, yo, healer, come with me real quick.
Yeah, Overwatch, you're like, oh, I'm waiting for my healer to spawn, and then we're going to get up to you guys. Yep. No, this is like, yo, you got to go.
Yeah, right? And that's, like, another thing, like, the respawns. Because in Overwatch, you can spawn in, wait for your team to spawn with you, go back out. Like in these, you don't have the time to wait on your spawn for someone to spawn in with you. You got to just go back out.
Yeah. I mean, I think with ranked, there's a lot of things they gotta launch with it. Like there is no if, ands, or buts. There's no if, ands, or buts. I mean, if not the first week, maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's got to be quick.
I don't even know if 2 weeks is... I think maybe a week. I think they need to be like, hey, ranked is launching a week from now.
Yeah.
So that people can keep playing pubs, warm up to the game, boom. And then like we said, I mean, if they can go to like Black Ops 3 kind of rank system where there's picks and bans on maps, or pick a map, because they did have that where you could pick a map, maybe ban an operator, something like that. I'm trying to think if there's...
I do want to speak on the bans. The only thing with picks and bans for this is I don't know if there is enough operators.
Yeah, there isn't.
Like, there's what, like 5, but there's like 2 of them, so I guess there is like 10. But
classes
when we
in
played,
a sense,
when we played, how many did we actually see?
Yeah, it was just Libertad. That was it.
It was just Libertad, and then like
the occasional Phantom.
Well,
I was the fire guy, because I was like, bro, I'm so sick of seeing all these like Libertads.
Phantom was cool, but that's the thing. Phantom, like, obviously Phantom was designed to be like a flanker, be like solo, but I feel like that's the mindset they need to have with these characters. Like the shield guy like the healer honestly is like the only one that I'm thinking about like that doesn't really work. Like they need to nerf the healing to the soul, like the singular, like
Yeah.
your own healing, and kind of just ditch the team healing
Yeah,
completely.
that ult in a sense. Maybe just one ability. Maybe that's what I'm saying. Maybe for ranked, they just prune the abilities to where it's
Yeah,
just one ability
yeah,
for the ranked for the character. Like in ranked, you can only go invisible, you can only drop a shield, you can only heal once, and like that's it. And I can only use the flamethrower, and that's it. Like nothing,
yeah.
no fire drone, no what else?
Just like
Ability?
tweak the
Yeah, like
operators.
tweak the operator so they can only use one ability. I feel like that shouldn't be too hard. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we wanted to
Don't
really.
let the bubble guy like use his bubble like
Yeah,
shoddy thing.
yeah,
Only let
that.
him use his like shield that he puts out.
Yeah, the shield, the shoddy part. Yeah, I don't. But I think isn't if you shoot the shield enough, it shrinks though, right? Wasn't that how it worked?
I don't know. I feel like every time you came up against that dude, you had to slide in on
Slide,
him
yeah, slide in on him and
and
just
only were
yeah,
able to kill him in the
yeah.
bubble. Which honestly, like you can do it. It's just like in the heat of a game, like when there's people on him too, it's just
Mhm.
like an instant death. Like he can just like turn and like hit you with his like electric shotgun or whatever the heck that thing is.
And then I think the last thing we really wanted to cover, and we'll wrap this episode up, is that with the rumored this being the last season of the CDL,
It's time.
XDefiant, it's time that this could. I
And
mean, XDefiant League could be possible.
yeah, no, it is possible. They need, listen, I'm about to start yelling. They need to take advantage. COD League is dying. All the signs have been happening. You see it. They're putting out these weak games, nostalgia games. They're not going to
Merchants.
hold people. Competitively, they will not hold people. And you need to launch your game with ranked. You cannot let COD have their rank mode out before you, because as soon as that comes out, if you don't have your ranked that mode out, it's done. You wasted the opportunity.
I think we pretty much hit the nail on the head. I think everything we said. Like I said, we want to do more episodes, so we do have
We'll
more
be doing more.
topics, but we didn't want to just like do an hour long intro first ep. We wanted to just do like a quick like half hour
Humble.
something,
Little first
yeah, a
step.
little first ep. Let us know what you guys think. We have a bunch more topics. If there's anything else you guys want us to talk about, let us know. If you have any criticisms, comments, let us know what we need to talk about or work on for the next episode. I hope people take what we said, and this is not like a doom and gloom video. I would say I think this is like more of like a positive motivation, and that's why I feel like we wanted to put this out before, and hopefully like in hopes that Aches and them see it, because we believe in the game so much that we want it to succeed, and we're only mentioning, and I don't want people to be like, oh, you guys are talking about COD and stuff like that. We're only saying that because like look what's happening when you don't care. Look,
Yeah.
but we're saying like look what happens when you care. There will be people rallying behind you. Look at us. We're making this passionate video just because we care. So that's really
Hungry.
it. Yeah, we're hungry for actual competitive games. Something that actually sparks something you want to get on and play ranked. Like I wanted to get on and play XDefiant. Like I had the urge to get on and play COD ranked as much anymore. It's just
Nope.
it doesn't feel the same anymore. And I feel like XDefiant's the closest thing that we had in a long time, and I really hope that everyone doesn't drop the ball this time. Any
Yeah,
closing statements for you?
guys, I just want to say we talked about COD a lot because like you cannot look at like COD will always be the top
Yeah,
dog.
always,
Unfortunately,
always.
in arena shooters, it's just the fan base is just so huge. Like there's just no way like you could ever like literally overtake them in a fan base. But I want them. If Aches watches, the developers, do not be afraid to look at COD and take what they do good
Yeah.
for your game. Like they do good things. Like I know we were like shitting on COD a lot, and that's just like you said, they're lazy. They just been really lazy. They're cashing in a check. They know they got to do the bare minimum. And like we said in the beginning of this episode, Ubisoft and XDefiant does not have that luxury. You need to give this game all the love and attention you can give it.
That's
And
it
I
from
hope you
us.
deliver.
Yeah, I hope you guys deliver. We'll see
We
you
wanna
guys
play it
in.
so
Yeah,
bad.
we do. We will see you guys in the next episode. All right, stay tuned. Let us know what you think. All right,
Peace.
peace.